All right, you are now tuned into the Rotated Views podcast. I am your host, Jimmy Lee Velez. I am here with Goose, Heck, Manny, and Gabe. That's right, folks. Episode 68, Mayweather versus McGregor. In this episode, the crew dives into an exhilarating discussion about the mega boxing match between UFC champion fighter Conor McGregor and boxing champion Floyd Mayweather Jr. We serve up our opinions on the fight itself and debate our predictions on how the fight may possibly pan out. We wrap the episode up with quotes from the fighters themselves, Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Conor McGregor. If you're new, thank you for joining us. We drop a new episode every Tuesday morning for your listening pleasure. Don't forget to download and subscribe. With that being said, we like to give a definition to kick things off. These two came from wikipedia.com. The first one, obviously, because of the nature of this discussion, we defined boxing as a combat sport in which two people wearing protective gloves throw punches at each other for a predetermined set of time in a boxing ring. Mixed martial arts, MMA, is defined as a full contact combat sport that allows both striking and grappling, both standing and on the ground using techniques from other combat sports and martial arts. So that's a very general definition of both disciplines and very, very different. So we're going to kick this off with a story from highsnobiety.com titled "The Mega Fight Between Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Conor McGregor is Officially Happening." And this is one of many announcements when the fight became official. I just kind of want to grab one of them. So if you're not in the sports industry or not really crazy about, combat sports, boxing, MMA, any of that, kind of, bring things together and so the discussion could make a little bit more sense for you. And it starts with the ongoing posturing between undefeated boxer Floyd Mayweather Jr. and the braggadocious MMA fixture Conor McGregor, which has been going since fall of 2016, seems to finally have tangible pieces in place so that they can actually fight. So I'm just going to stop there. The whole thing is that you have an MMA fighter and a boxer going against one another in a ring, but they're going with boxing rules, and everything is legit and official in the boxing world. So you have an MMA fighter again fighting a boxer, just so we're clear. ESPN has reported that Nevada State Athletic Commission has approved the request submitted by Mayweather Promotions to host a boxing event on August 26, 2017, at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas. Hours later, Yahoo Sports has reported that Mayweather's camp isn't simply securing a date as a public relations maneuver. Rather, they've stated unbeaten boxer Floyd Mayweather Jr. will fight UFC lightweight champion Conor McGregor in a much-discussed boxing match on August 26 in Las Vegas, adding Mayweather is expected to make the announcement on social media as early as Wednesday. Mayweather has done just that, stating, quote, "It's official," with a bunch of exclamation points, end quote. In response, bookmaker Jeff Sherman, the odds maker at Westgate Sportsbook in Las Vegas, made Mayweather a minus 1,000 favorite and placed McGregor at a plus 650. Oof. While no official figures have been announced, it is widely believed that each fighter will take home $100 million based on tangible ticket sales and pay-per-view buys. In Mayweather's last major pay-per-view mega fights against Manny Pacquiao and Canelo Alvarez, he managed buys accounting for 4.6 million and 2.2 million people, respectively. With the cross-cultural interest and a blend of boxing and MMA, there's no denying they are aiming for over 5 million pay-per-view buys, which will break a record.
Yeah. That's obviously more than the...
That's crazy.
So think about it, at $100 a pop.
At $100
and they bumped it up. Yeah.
Are we going to be one of those million people?
I am.
Buying?
Somewhere.
Watching?
I'll be somewhere watching.
Precipitating?
I won't put out $100 by myself. I won't sit there by myself. It would have to be a group thing.
We've always pitched it.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody does that by themselves like that.
No, I think everyone chips in.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
Well, the ones I had here.
It's
I think if you do that, I mean, unless you're whatever. You get a group together to help chip in for
and
it.
honestly,
We did all kinds
I
of
think
fights here.
that price might go up by fight time.
Think so?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh,
So lock in now.
Because they're selling it now. No, they're selling it now. So
Are
you
they?
can get
Yeah.
it. Yeah, there's people that are purchasing it right now.
you can buy it right now?
Yeah.
You can like pre-order.
Wow,
like
maybe I should
pre-order.
just buy it.
Pre-order it.
I mean, if you're gonna do it, right? If you're
Pre-order
already
it.
gonna do it.
Pre-order it.
That's weird.
Because as it gets closer,
How can it go up? I've never seen that.
I don't know, but I'm
Last
pretty sure
minute?
I'm saying they know that everyone
Well,
wants to
everything's
see
different, so anything's possible.
They
with
want.
this.
They know that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything that's factual. It is my opinion that they know everyone wants to watch it. Like the last day or two, it's gonna go up. I guarantee. I'm pretty sure. And people are gonna
Guaranteed
pay.
it, guys.
I'm just saying. That's my opinion.
I'm putting my portion of the
here's
money
the thing.
in.
I don't doubt it. We've
Yeah.
seen
No, no.
Yeah.
I
this
think
fight
you're right.
has
Everyone
just
wants
put
to see
everyone
it.
like, what in the
Yes.
world is happening right now?
Yeah.
So there you have it. So you have a professional boxer who's retired, came out of retirement. He's 49-0 in boxing,
Mm-hmm.
That's
and is
insane.
looking to make his record 50-0.
It's gonna be a record no matter what.
Yeah.
Whether he loses or wins.
Yeah.
His first loss ever.
So is
the
he
50th win.
History will be made.
Is he hanging the shorts after this one?
He's already retired. He's only
Right.
coming back for this.
Publicity
this.
stunt.
Just
Yeah, and a lot of like talk was going back and forth that Mayweather was like like talking smack to each other, and he was yelling this, which was like, I found it like hilarious. He said, "I will take you in the boxing ring or in the octagon."
Yeah. he
Yeah.
said that.
Now, okay, there's one thing of being that confident as a boxer. In combat sports, it's total. There's a lot of differences. A lot of differences. You have one sport that is literally mixed martial arts.
Yes,
so you
it's
have
full contact.
Yeah, full contact. You
Choking.
can kick, choke,
Yeah.
snap someone's arm off, kick them in the head, knee them in the ribs. Like, that is all available to you. And then in boxing, it's above the belt and up, not behind the head.
Yeah.
Well, in MMA, there's also no behind the head punches or strikes or whatever they call it, with like 10 times more padding of gloves.
And
Yeah.
just straight up stand up.
And you're just standing up in your palm. So my only argument is you're going from someone who's well versed in a multitude ways of basically survival fighting versus someone who's very one dimensional and just punches and dodges. If that were, my opinion is, if that fight were to ever take place, regardless if it happens in this boxing ring,
Well, yeah, the reverse of it doesn't.
if the reverse of it, it's actually, I would say, like, don't do it, because I honestly believe someone is going to die or something. It's like, that's like dangerous.
Yeah, so I've watched an interview and they were asking Conor McGregor, how do you prepare yourself for just doing one thing? You've been training multiple different levels of fighting, different forms of art forms of fighting. He's like, I'm just boxing. Now that's all I'm doing. On my training days, I'm boxing. He's like, it's like having a half a day of school.
Yeah.
I'm only training one form of art. That's it. Like, so for him, it's easier as opposed to McGregor trying to learn Mayweather trying to learn all these forms of artwork or whatever you want to call it, fights and stuff. It's gonna be harder for him. Yeah.
Whatever style of
It's gonna be harder for him
martial
to
arts he's
learn
trying.
all that stuff that he's never done before.
Exactly.
So, but even before we get into like the specifics, in general, do you guys think this fight should even happen, or is this like a circus act, or is it both?
But I mean, isn't there precedence for this? It wasn't something like a while ago that they had something very similar where it was like a boxing going against like a mixed martial arts person.
I think that was a movie.
Was it a movie? I thought I heard
Yeah,
something.
only,
there was,
only
like,
the strong.
No, I thought it was some. I was talking some talk show or something this
Oh,
morning.
no,
that
oh,
was
possible.
It was, but it was like whoever. I think it was. It might have been the other way around.
Yeah,
Like,
it
you were
was
talking about-
there was something
like a
someone
boxer went into like
came
a
to reverse
ring
and
or
got
something like that.
destroyed. Yeah.
Because obviously,
It has-
pretty much for the same situation you were talking about. That
I don't
they're
know
not
what
used
it
to
was.
that
Dana White
situation.
talked about it. He said it was reversed before and it didn't work. Like they got
It's not
destroyed.
going to be entertaining.
Yeah.
It's like,
Not one
They
bit.
got destroyed.
yeah, this is like basically tying someone's arm behind their back and let's see what he can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because
I was
there's
saying-
an element in boxing in MMA.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, at least you have some element.
'Cause even, like-
you don't have 40 years or however, no, well, not 40, 30 years of boxing like Mayweather has.
Yeah.
So obviously the upper hand is going to go to Mayweather.
Yeah.
Because it was
21
like more
years.
recently, like Ronda Rousey was more focusing on like boxing and stuff like that before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
that was
yeah,
her-
she did.
that was her
But
specialty.
then you had, you actually had, who was the girl who first beat her? The preacher's
Holly
daughter?
Holmes.
Holly Holmes.
Yeah.
She was a boxer.
Okay.
She was a world-class boxer, championship boxer, and came to MMA. But the thing was, she trained for MMA for years, not in 6 months.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
became,
No,
is
absolutely.
fighting the top person.
Yeah.
That's a big difference, and she beat the best in the world. I mean, that's fascinating to me. But that's someone who completely changed careers as a strategy, not for a show or to make more money. It wasn't
Not for
that. So do you guys think this fight should take place?
No.
I think it's like Mayweather's retired. Boxing's kind of fallen off anyway.
Yeah.
I think it's like a somewhat of a boost in boxing. At the same time, it's a slap in the face at boxing.
Yeah.
Like, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just because at this point you're bringing an MMA guy to come and fight and saying boxing isn't that serious.
Isn't
You got an
relevant
MMA,
anymore.
MMA. You got an MMA guy trying to come in here to shut him down.
Well, there's other boxers that Mayweather could be fighting, and he's choosing not to. And he retired though.
There's just
And
no
he's
interest.
coming out of retirement to fight.
Boxing isn't interesting.
No.
You know what I mean? But so Conor McGregor and the Mayweather
He's
fight
gonna-
makes it interesting. There's some sort
Right.
of lore. There's like,
Yeah.
there's some
Yeah, so
excitement.
it's-
There's some buzz. Two guys that are boxers. It's great for the boxing purist.
Yeah.
But people who just want to see fights, kind of the casual fan, as I would call myself as a casual fan. Sure. It's like, oh man, it's kind of David and Goliath, and both
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
like the best trash talking game in
And
each
that's-
of their
and
respective
that's what I
sports. That
think
makes
is-
it better.
That's what's gonna make this whole thing a lot of money. They're
They're smack
ish talking.
talking.
Yeah. They're like, that's what's gonna make from here to the day of the fight is gonna make it interesting. It's gonna build like the craziest hype and buzz just because of them talking, and everyone's curious on what they're gonna say next.
It's such a love-hate thing.
Yeah.
You either love them or you hate them. It's like some boxers, like, he's just a good guy, talented guy. He's kind of boring, right? Everybody likes the underdog story, or they like the braggadocious guy who's over the top and like want to see him lose. They're two of the same guys. Either you
Yeah.
love them and
Yeah.
you're behind them 100%, or you want to see them get destroyed.
Yeah.
And it's such an odd
Like,
dynamic.
in the boxing world, like Mayweather he's an amazing boxer. He's an amazing like defensive fighter. I don't like him. He's not my favorite boxer or whatever. And in the MMA world, Conor McGregor isn't my favorite boxer, but these two are just so like they're crazy animals. They make everything just interesting. Like everything they do, everyone's watching. It's sparking like interest. Just prior to the fights though, and that's what it really is. Because in the ring, Mayweather's a boring fighter. It's a boring fight. All his fights are boring.
Very.
So like it's leading whatever he does leading up to the fight is what's interesting and captivates everyone.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I think it's like a lose-lose for boxing. It's almost embarrassing, and like that's coming from someone again who's just your average watcher. But I talked to
Yeah.
someone who's obsessed with boxing, and he said he's like, there's no like commission that should have ever approved this fight.
Yeah.
No legit commission.
Yeah.
The only one that would approve it is the one in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Because it's
Wow.
like, it's a circus act.
Yeah.
First of all, you got a lot of stuff going on here. You have Conor McGregor that's holding 2 titles, which means for the UFC, he's putting off fights and a lot of angry fighters over there.
Yeah.
A lot of pissed off guys.
Yeah.
And then you have someone who retired, who came back out of retirement and is getting the biggest fight possibly in history of boxing. How is this going to possibly
He's not fighting
be
a boxer.
the
Yeah.
biggest fight that boxing's ever had? And it's not even a boxer; it's an MMA fighter. So what's the bigger sport now? It's a win-win for MMA no matter what, because
absolutely.
they're still on top with when it comes to the younger generation.
Dude, and those MMA fighters don't make nowhere near as what boxers
And they don't make So obviously the guys who are fighting are doing it because that's what they love to do.
Yeah.
Oh, but let's remember that Floyd Mayweather is in his own category when it comes to paydays. You know what I mean? Especially being a little guy. Back in the day, obviously heavyweight guys. You got your Mike Tysons and those big names that were just knocking people out. They're a lot of fun, so they got paid obviously. But Mayweather's in a whole nother category as far as getting paydays. Some of those lower tier guys, they don't get paid as well. I mean, Conor McGregor made what, $3 million in his last fight?
Yeah.
Well, I think Mayweather made that in the first round of the Pacquiao fight, so he kind of like laughs. He's like, whatever, dude. I'll make that in 30 seconds. It doesn't matter.
But he also, you're talking about someone who's 12 years ahead than, and in a sport that's still being like established. Boxing was well established by the time Mayweather got in, and so when Mayweather's there, the excitement, like everything he had, that was it. It was perfect. That's what they needed. So you're already an established, that's comparing like, hip hop to like country or rock and roll when these guys get paid. Like hip hop artists don't get paid nothing compared to country artists.
Yeah.
It's a well more established thing. They're gonna get there one day. Maybe they'll topple them one day. But it's just the sports is like there's nothing. You're going back to the early like 1900s when I having boxing matches and stuff.
Yeah.
MMA is nothing. In the last 20 years, it really picked up. But yeah, to that point, I agree. He is on a whole other thing. When it comes to payday, when it comes to all that stuff. But I believe it's because of who he is outside of the ring.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not taking away from his boxing. Obviously, the guy is a genius in the ring. He's not there to entertain anybody, clearly, because it's not entertaining.
Yeah.
But it is, unless you're like really into boxing, then you could appreciate all the stuff that he does. For the average watcher, and he's not boxing for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's boxing to, get the W and make that payday. He doesn't care what we think about how boring that
Be
fight
prepared to
was.
watch 12 rounds.
Yeah, you're gonna watch 12 rounds, and he's in Vegas, so they're gonna, no matter what, he's gonna win. Like,
Yeah.
he no matter what, there's no even with this fight, if Conor McGregor is like pouncing on him for some random reason, or I don't know how that would happen, but if that were to happen, and it went the 12 rounds, or I don't even know how many rounds they agreed on.
12.
It is 12. 12. Wow, that's a lot.
That's
That's a lot of fighting.
It's gonna be a lot of chasing.
If it went that long, it's gonna go to Mayweather no matter what. That commission, there's no way
That's what I heard.
Some people are saying they already messed up by even accepting this. There's no way that they're gonna let an MMA fight. It'll be a mockery of boxing.
Yeah, and that's what they were saying. That's why McGregor is calling out. He's like, I'm going to knock him out in 4 rounds, which he has to. He has to do something early on.
Yeah, he has to knock
and
him out.
If not, if it's gonna last longer than the fourth round and beyond, McGregor's gonna be fatigued, and Mayweather's gonna win by points, by decision.
Yeah, and you got two, like Mayweather's gonna tag him up with all these little quick shots. So he really has to come with that.
Yeah, he's a
big whatever, that
crazy
haymaker or
animalistic
whatever.
style.
Yeah, otherwise it is whatever. Beyond that, well, first of all, we're like people who know nothing about fighting talking about fighting. Let's get that out of the way. But also, just in a generally speaking, reading articles, leading up to this, we knew we were going to talk about this. I was reading stuff. It's basically the general consensus. Obviously, you have your arguments on both sides.
Yeah.
But that's the general consensus. Is it not entertaining though? I think there is that circus feel to it because of who they are. They're like these larger than life kind of people where they're just their smack talking is like on such a high level that it just calls for entertainment.
Yeah, it's almost like a real version of like the wrestling, like that type of
like WWF.
smackering talking to each other.
It's a spectacle. It's like, what am I watching here, guys? Look up The Great White Hype. Look that movie up. It's an old movie.
Yeah.
That's what this looks like.
Yeah.
Literally, it is so like over the top.
It's funny because it's like you're going like a veteran like Mayweather, and then this McGregor's only been 4 years in, so he's still new and he's still like fresh. So it's like two different worlds. Two different worlds in every which way.
Yeah.
So it's like it's eye catching. It's appealing. It's like, first of all, how
It's
did this
different
happen?
on so many
Second
levels.
of all, like, all right, it's happening. Like, I'm curious on how it's gonna go down.
Yeah.
Not to switch it up, but boxing has been around since 668 BC.
Well, there you go.
MMA started in the early 1900s.
Early 1900s?
1900s.
Wow.
Yeah. It started out as in Brazil. It was the birthplace for
Yeah,
it.
and that's
Jiu-jitsu. Yeah.
Yep. And it was a champion immigrated from Japan to Brazil to establish a Japanese colony there. That was the purpose of that.
Wow. Can someone look up what their reaches are?
I know Connor's is longer. I don't know the exact number.
Dude, because he stands up on that stage and his arms look like they dangle to his knees.
Everything's he outweighs, outsizes
Boy,
everything.
he's taller than him. He looks more muscular than him. He has longer arms
He got
than
a
him.
different
It's
build.
like,
He got a nice big chest.
Yeah, and they might be like the same weight, but yeah, he's like a spider monkey.
well, you gotta understand, he went up when he was fighting Nate Diaz several times to fight him and then came down. He said, when I came down in weight, I just felt stronger.
Yeah.
Because I had all that heavy
Well, you're more- yeah.
this on me, and then I shrunk down. And he's like, I kept some of that muscle.
yeah, more flexibility, more.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about flexibility, but he definitely stronger. Because I think the bigger you are, the less flexible you are.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When he came down.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so here we go. McGregor, 74-inch reach. Floyd Mayweather, 72.
So that's a 2-inch difference.
2-inch difference.
On
All
top
right,
of
so
the-
this is their stats. Floyd Mayweather is 40. McGregor is 29. Height, 5'8", 5'9".
It's not too bad.
Last weigh-in from last fights were 146 for Mayweather, 155 for McGregor. Their stance for Floyd Mayweather's orthodox, McGregor southpaw.
Southpaw. Mayweather has issues with southpaw.
Does he?
Yeah, that's why he didn't want to fight.
The-
His whole thing, he didn't want to fight.
The
Pacquiao.
reach is 72 for Mayweather, 74 for McGregor. How many rounds they lasted, or how many rounds they've done?
yeah.
Mayweather did 387. McGregor's 37.
But they're different. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boxing
There's
goes
only
12
three
rounds, and
rounds.
MMA only goes 3
So
rounds.
that's a quick stats of the two guys.
I mean, it is.
The
he is
record's
up a little
49
bit.
and 0, 26 KOs for Mayweather, 21 and 3, 18 KOs for McGregor. So that's the records what they're going against
In their respective sports.
in their respective sports. Absolutely, yes. That's crazy. I didn't know.
so anyway-
I don't know. He didn't like southpaw stance.
No,
Well, I mean, he has an issue with it. Like he doesn't know how to
So what happens to boxing if Floyd Mayweather loses?
go down. Well, no, you probably might have other people trying to challenge
now
other boxers.
He'll probably want. Yeah. He'll probably
Other MMA
challenge.
artists, or maybe even WWE might come out and challenge them. At this point, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Rock will come out.
Doink the clown.
Oh my god.
That was Manny's favorite.
But I assume that would set a precedence for more types of this type of fights, I guess.
I actually don't think so. I
No,
think this is
well-
the first and last of this.
Yeah, that's it.
I honestly do.
Mayweather picks and chooses his battles. So like
Absolutely.
the
He
last
gets the
like
money
5,
for it.
6 people, he picked them and the time frame and everything. He's like, in my eyes, he's like a baby in that sense. Like
His
he-
last, I think they said like his last 7 fights been decisions. Like I said, it's not an entertaining fight.
Yeah.
It is if you're very into boxing, you appreciate how little he can get and if he runs back. No,
Dude,
I'm serious. Like,
so
it's-
he studies the reverse of
smart.
what people study. Like in boxing, you study on how to punch and spots.
Yeah.
He studies the reverse on defense and
master,
then counter.
absolute master. It's unreal. I would have loved to watch him fight live, man.
Yeah,
Fight who?
live.
Watch him fight live.
Oh.
Just both of them. But in
Yeah.
him fighting an actual boxer and McGregor fighting an actual MMA fighter, not this.
Yeah.
I'm watching this, but not.
Yeah. The only reason I think it really works is because McGregor's not afraid to get knocked out by Mayweather.
Right.
Like he doesn't show that at 40 years old.
No.
He doesn't show that type of power, which he can. I mean, don't get me wrong. He can knock
Oh, absolutely.
anyway a lot of people out, but professional guys who can absorb a hit, can take a hit. He's not. McGregor's not afraid of being knocked out.
Dude, honestly, I think. Yeah, my bad. I didn't mean to-
No, good.
No, I'm just saying McGregor's gonna come out here like an animal the first 2 rounds. He's gonna like try, and
he's gonna lose like it.
and
dope.
it's gonna he's gonna give Mayweather something he's never seen before in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah.
On aggression.
How do you think McGregor's punches will be now that they could be cushioned?
I think his punches are the same. It's how they feel on someone else is different. It's a softer touch to the head.
Right.
But I think it's going to be the same. There is a difference because he's carrying more weight. So obviously they're going to slow up, but so is it's
yeah.
like
What are they fighting at?
16-ounce gloves.
No. What are they fighting at? What weight? Because
I don't
he
It's like
weighed.
150 something. It was 150.
Is it 150
Yeah.
something?
They're
Yeah,
both right
it's
there.
Ma-
Both-
I know they're
Dude,
close,
May-
but
yo,
there's got to be a
it's-
catch weight.
Yeah, Mayweather lined up everything. It's all Mayweather specs.
Yeah,
So
it's-
whatever
it's like
he
middle-
normally
middle.
fights,
Mayweather
and I
doesn't-
think it's
Mayweather doesn't lose or gain weight. Like he stays in fighting shape like all the time. He pretty much stays that weight. I know a lot of guys fluctuate, but he's
Yeah.
one who just kind of stays, in that fighting shape or that weight. So you don't lose a lot of weight because I know a lot of guys you lose 10, 15 pounds in like 3 days and feel like crap going into the fight.
Yeah,
Because they
yeah.
had to cut weight and
Powerless.
not eat. Yeah. So that'll be interesting too.
Yeah, my thing though too is so I feel like it's going to be up there with the strongest punches I think Mayweather's ever encountered. I'm not saying it's
Yeah.
the strongest hit he ever got hit with, but it's going to be
But
up
it'll
there.
be up there, yeah. I agree with that.
For pound.
Right.
But also, I think what people are because I mentioned this before, and people are like, "Oh yeah, I didn't think of that." McGregor's been getting hit with a small glove that's basically someone's fist with like electric tape wrapped around it, in the face, pummeled, right, and then kneed in the head for years now, right? Let's just say 4 years professionally, but he's been fighting
You
since
have
he
to
was
be
like
still
18.
doing this for a while. That was
Yeah. He's like
So
10 years of that,
For
right?
him to get hit by that, shouldn't...
No, I'm just saying I just don't see them like really like him getting pummeled. I just don't see
It really,
it.
like,
What's
faded
going to
him
get him, I think, is
initially.
he's going to be shocked at how fast Mayweather is. I think that's where the
Okay.
whole thing is.
Yeah.
He's going to get tagged on the ribs, tagged on,
Yeah.
on the chin or whatever, and then Mayweather's just dancing around. It's
I guess he's more used to somebody being a little more aggressive, so he can kind of counter it and and just tackle them and knock them out. Or
anybody
or-
can knock anyone out. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying I don't see that as like if I had to put money on it, I'm going to say no. It's not going to be a knockout by Mayweather, but he's going to destroy him with.
They're
when
gonna
he
be
comes to
with
like
defense, whatever.
like punch, but like punch count, like dude, it's like a cartoon. Do you ever see him? It's a blur when he's punching. It's so fast. But all Conor's punches are so strategic that when one hits you, it's gonna throw you out of the ring. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like this weird dynamic you have working. And they're both plotting, and they both have their thing. Now, what I think is the stances come different. I know we mentioned southpaw, but in boxing, there's not. In MMA, he has like a really wide stance, and that makes him get low. I don't know if that's an advantage or a disadvantage in boxing. I don't know enough about boxing to say, wow, that's a real, because he gets low, like almost like capoeira when they're like swinging back and forth.
Or
and
even,
stuff.
but you don't know how he's been training with that either, too. Like trying to
Right.
like maybe have a different stance when he is going to go in the
He's
boxing ring.
he's hired
Listen, when you're
he's hired everybody boxer.
When you're tired, though, you go back to instincts. And
Instincts.
you go back
You've
to
been
instinct.
naturally been trained
I'm
for
waiting
it.
for a knee to fly to
Someone
Mayweather's
said that.
face.
They're like, what would you
You
do?
know what? No, I seriously would not doubt that he may do that just on a
in
reaction.
their-
habit.
Yeah.
In
Just
their
knee,
clause,
bam.
there's like if he lifts
He
the
loses
leg
a lot
or
of money, right?
No, he can get sued. They said he's gonna get fined for touching him in the back of the head during that one press conference.
Oh, yeah.
Like they're not allowed. Like
Well, that's the thing. You're going to a completely different set of rules
You know
in
what?
general.
That's funny you say that because Mayweather didn't. You know how most guys like they'll go at each other.
Yeah.
Mayweather, you know what? He probably heard cha-ching as soon as he touched it. He
yeah.
heard just the bank go cha-ching.
He smiled. He didn't even actually even
Yeah,
react.
yeah,
to it.
right. That's what I thought. I would thought he would have got a gut.
Dude, like
got
my
up.
blood was boiling during like the whole thing. I'm like, how are you guys? That is like the most disciplined. Like, what's it called? I've ever seen. Someone's
they're
that
not,
much
they
level
signed
of
a
trash.
contract where they can't touch each other.
No,
They
but
can't
I also
do that.
think that's what makes them. They're
Yeah.
professionals in that sense, where
Yeah.
you can go to that level and then just still sit there and eat it. It's like we watch actually this coming Saturday. I'm going to watch like a battle rap thing. Stay with me here. These guys say the most disrespectful stuff to each other, right?
And don't punch each
and
other.
and they just keep standing there, just nodding their head. And you like, yo, it was like they're saying some wild things, right?
No, absolutely.
It's that level of like control, that level of poise that someone has is able to take the smack. Team Mayweather absolutely loves Conor McGregor. They are smiling the whole time because they've heard it their whole lives with Floyd and
Yeah.
Floyd Sr.
And
He's just one of them. They could all get together and make a fighting, whatever. I think it's going to destroy if Conor McGregor beats Mayweather, he's going to enter into the boxing industry, and they're probably going to be partners on some level, guaranteed.
Oh, probably.
McGregor would join?
Yes,
Team McGregor.
he's already said it. He's like, I'm going to run this whole, and he's using explicit language in MMA and run everything once I beat him in 4 rounds.
Oh man.
I'm going to own boxing, I'm going to own MMA, blah, blah, blah. And this dude's like, he's saying with utmost confidence. I always wondered, like, when someone's that confident, if in the back of their mind, like, wow, I just said that.
Yeah.
You ever think they, like, come out, like,
I don't even think they're
watch,
so
like-
confident they just keep it running.
Yeah.
I don't think they think twice about that.
Listen,
That-
sometimes you got to lie to yourself
Well,
to
yeah.
make
Yeah.
to
Well,
believe it. You know what I mean?
Dana White said it. He's like, dude, he goes, I start to believe in this dude when he said he's gonna beat up. I don't know who it was, the top like MMA fighter in that weight class for the time. He said, I'm gonna beat him in the first round. Dana White was like, I believed him when he laid him out and knocked him out in 30 seconds. He was from there on out. I believe everything he says.
yeah, he said it went beyond before that. He said he sat down for dinner and this dude was aggressively talking about what he's going to do. And Dana White was saying he has everything going for him.
Dude,
He was young, he's energetic, he had the record already at that point. The record, he was nobody, but he had like a good record. So when they watched him, he's like, I watched him a couple fights, legit. And he said, but his attitude and the level of confidence he had,
He's got
he
swagger
said,
for
I
days.
believed him, and he was a nobody, and I believed him just how he presented himself.
That's crazy.
He said,
Dude,
I
he-
just believed everything he said.
he
He,
told-
just has that. He just has that. That level of charisma, because that's also in there, and confidence in himself. Just in his and Dana White just said, also says, like, he backs it up. It's hard. Same thing with like Floyd Mayweather. It's hard to be mad at a guy who talks someone's crap, but that they also back it up. So it's kind of like that's why they are where they are. You can't be a smack talker and be terrible at the sport.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the worst kind of person.
Yeah. No, what I'm saying, I saw like a thing that 4 years ago when he was McGregor was like living in Ireland on like welfare or like assistant living, and he was telling his wife, he's like, I'm gonna make it, just trust me. And he spent hours and hours at the gym, and she was getting frustrated, like, dude, we're like, you're not even working, you're like working part-time or whatever. He's like, trust me, I'm gonna make it, and she trusted him, and look where they're at now.
Yeah.
And he had that confidence. He knew he was gonna do something.
And how old did he start when he started this?
He started when he was young.
He started with boxing though. I thought he was amateur.
Someone was
Yeah,
saying
he
he
was
did
young.
start out boxing like 2 years. He was boxing, actual boxing, but it was young, not young, but it was like younger.
Yeah.
Everyone's saying 4 years. That was when he entered into UFC.
Yeah,
no,
UFC.
not MMA.
UFC.
UFC.
It's different.
It's different.
He had a record already in MMA. It was UFC. That was when he sat down with Dana White and all those owners. And then fast forward, he became the biggest name. Still is the biggest name in MMA.
Real quick.
And I think last year the UFC sold for $4 billion. So you're taking like a company that was probably not even worth half that 4 years ago, or whatever the time frame is. And when Conor McGregor came in, I'm pretty sure he amplified their net worth.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just like it's like when you think of boxing, who do you think of? It's you have in our era, whatever era you were in. So let's say if your era was the 90s, you probably thought of 2 or 3 guys, right?
Yeah. Mike Tyson.
Right. Everyone. That's like
That's
the classic.
classic.
Mike Tyson is,
Same thing, basketball, Michael Jordan.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that was our guys, Mike Tyson and Mike Jordan and Mike Jackson. You always had the 3 Mikes. But in this era, you think of in MMA, I think of Conor McGregor. There was probably people before him, but like he's taken over so much, he's clouded your memory of like what was before him anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the sport's been established. They sold like multiple companies. It's been on TV forever, and you're like, dude, Brock.
There's Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar. He was like one of
Yeah,
the
but he was another show.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He came from the WWE. And
Yeah, he's that whole
He didn't know what he wanted to do. He was like a football player.
you know what he wanted to do? He wanted to go make money. And that's
Make money.
exactly. What he
Exactly.
did.
Yeah.
You know what's going to be interesting? You know, last time the fight McGregor lost to Diaz, he looked tired, right? He looked fatigued, right? The difference between boxing stamina and MMA stamina, like think about it, you're rolling on the ground, roll around on the ground for somebody for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Hold them. You're using your whole body. That's exhausting. So, you know, in the beginning, I thought like, well, Mayweather's just going to wear him down by the 5th, 6th round. McGregor's going to kind of, you know, leave it all out there, just go for the glory essentially in the first 6 rounds. And if he doesn't win there, he's going to get knocked out. But, I mean, he's only just throwing fists and just going to be kind of hopping around rather than trying to go get him, grapple him, take him to the ground, resist the takedown. So, I mean, that'll be interesting to see how, you know, each other's stamina is well, really more McGregor's because we know Mayweather's going to be in unbelievable shape. But McGregor, it'll be interesting to see how.
See, I think he has. I think he's gonna have cobwebs.
And
I don't think he's
who's
gonna be
that?
in unbelievable shape. Mayweather.
I mean, he's out 2 years. He hasn't fought in 2 years. He's out 2 years.
Yeah, but
living that retired life, like he was partying. If you watch him, if you follow him on Instagram, he's
really?
been all over the place.
Not
Yeah.
like-
Well, he always parties, but
But-
he doesn't drink.
Yeah.
He doesn't drink. He takes great.
So
care of
here's
himself.
another thing I just found. So they're actually wearing 10-ounce gloves, and McGregor uses the MMA. They're 4-ounce gloves.
Oh my god.
I could have sworn someone said 16.
No, boxing does use 16-ounce gloves, but Mayweather uses 10. And these are all Mayweather specs, and they're going in at 154.
Oh, so that's perfect for McGregor. Sounds like Mayweather got to go up in weight.
Mayweather's gotta go. Well, who he fight the last fight?
Um,
Andre Berto.
who?
Mayweather.
No, Mayweather fought freaking Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez.
No, Andre Berto.
Yeah,
Was it?
it is 10-ounce gloves.
Yeah.
He fought Berto the last fight. Berto's a big fighter.
So it's double the weight, a little bit more than double the weight for McGregor.
And
So you got to think about this. Like McGregor is literally doing it's so crooked to Mayweather. It's literally unreal. It really is a David and Goliath kind of thing. It's in his hometown because obviously he couldn't have it anywhere else. It's in his hometown. right? He's fighting at his weight, his glove,
Everything's
whatever.
contoured to
The
him.
date that he, yeah. It's all, but all his fights were. But this just seems like way more. Now, and you have a guy coming to your sport.
Yeah.
That's the kicker of it all. There was no meet in between kind of thing. But I still like in my mind. I mean, I still like. I give credit to Mayweather for 40-year-old man. Not that that's old, but a 40-year-old man.
Athlete, that's old.
Athlete.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, a 40-year-old person is not old.
Right.
A 40-year-old person who's going to get in the ring and fight with a world-class fighter who can basically kill you if this wasn't the case, if it wasn't boxing.
Sure.
That you have to give credit to that. That's also like kind of like, well, dude got some cojones there.
Kai Jones.
But we all know this is pure. He loves the limelight. He loves the attention. Of course, this is gonna rake in so much money for them both.
It's really the cash.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like McGregor is like, you mean to tell me I'm gonna quadruple my net worth by 4, and no one's gonna kick me? Sign me up, dude. I mean, it's beautiful. It is like it is. If any kid wants to like get on some level of entertainment, or if you want to like go into WWF, or if you want to really be a boxer, or really be an MMA fighter, and just in general, I'm not saying to that level of like ego or whatever that is, because I can't even speak that high because I don't even know what that is. Some people say, oh, that's all ego. Oh, that's arrogance. Oh, that's confidence. Oh, that's just he's very in control of his life. And then you're like, so what is it? Because you said a bunch of adjectives and they all contradict each other.
It's just a caricature of a human being.
He's just so quick and witty.
That's
with
what
what
the
he
whole.
says.
That's what the whole thing. That's why when people say like they're just people like that are just like larger than life. Like it's like, dude, is this a movie you're living out right now? Because this seems so fake. Like, how's this actually happening?
No, what's funny is like he's always like he's quick and witty what he says. Like who knows if that's how he fights. He's quick and he like adjusts and he reads things faster than what most people are kind of like taking in.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean that's like a natural thing. Whether you're witty or whatever, you're definitely quick with a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah. He's a great actor, because if you watch the post-fight interview that was done after the Nate Diaz loss, there was a lot of humility there, and he also took the loss
like a man.
He's
Stood
like, I just
there.
lost. It is what it is. Yeah. Sometimes it's happened. I'll bounce back. And I respected him more for that. Like, you could still talk all that smack, but he took it on the chin, and I was like,
And he said, I never forget what he said. He said, I underestimated a bigger man. And that says a lot to like, dude, you just like basically called yourself out. Yeah. He's like, but I'll come back. I'll train. I'll think about it. And I'll come back bigger and better. And whatever. And he did. He came back and fought that dude who beat him. Won. Came back. Got the belt. Came back. Fought another guy who had a belt. Eddie Alvarez. Won. Got the belt. And has 2 belts. And he's like basically saying, now you guys got to take these 2 belts from me. And that was his big argument. When he won the second belt, they didn't have his other belt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember
he
that.
went nuts. Somehow they scrounged up and got it. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah.
It was under
but
the mat.
They said someone interviewed him before that, the Alvarez press conference. He says, the guy goes, what are you going to do if you win both belts? I'm going to get a belt thrown over this shoulder, get the other belt thrown over this shoulder. You're going to need an army to take these 2 belts from me. Because they said that you couldn't fight in 2 different weight classes. Like, you're going to have to get stripped from one of the belts. He still has
and that's
both
why
belts.
they didn't want to give him the other belt after he won that one.
Dude, not only does he still have both belts, now he's doing a circus act.
Yeah.
So he's
In
putting
between.
off more.
Yeah.
So who's the boss of the UFC?
Yeah.
I mean, holy
Dude,
smokes.
and Dana White's loving every bit of it.
he
He's
loves every
supporting
bit.
him.
Dude,
you don't have
that's
Dana
your guy.
White. No,
That's cash
Dana
flow for
White
him,
honestly
That's your cash
is
cow.
is his only bodyguard too. Like that's the only one he has walking him around.
hilarious.
Mayweather has like a whole fleet of guys, and
Well,
Dana White's the only person on his back.
That's just Mayweather's always been like that, though.
Well, there's
He's
other
always had
boxers, there's other
entourage.
people that have like
Yeah,
actual bodyguards and
Well, that's the
shit.
difference between MMA and boxing. Boxing has entourages, and MMA is like, let's
Very
fight, man.
flashy, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of life.
Even Mayweather, they interviewed like McGregor. It was like one of those, the same thing. It looks like someone recorded on his cell phone. They're asking him questions. And he was like, dude, he's like, this is like, he was like, I've never seen anything. He's like, they do stuff totally different than how it's done in MMA. He's like, this is on a whole other level.
Yeah.
Like, it's like a grander scale. It's like, this is nuts.
Yeah.
There's six private jets to fly us all around the world to promote this one fight in, 5 days? 4 days?
Oh, they did a
whatever it was.
that
they did a
was
4.
insane.
No, it was like a 5-day tour, but it was 4 cities.
Yeah.
And one was over in the UK. I think they hit
London.
New York here.
London?
The last one was
In
London,
London.
New York, Canada, and Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Or Los
No,
Angeles.
it was
Los
Los
Angeles.
Los
Staples Center,
Angeles.
Think about that, dude.
Yeah.
That's a lot of frequent flyer miles right there. That's
I don't
awesome.
think they're freaking flying. No,
they're not. No,
they're
no.
private jets.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that it was, and Dana White said he's like, oh, I got treated like a king, like legit. And he was saying though, he was like, they asked him, how would you promote? He's like, I would have promoted this totally different. But then he's coming from a different outlook. He said basically he had no say, which I kind of like made me like, there you go. How do you know if he didn't have this grand idea that he's been dying to use in the UFC?
Yeah.
And they basically just shut him off. He's a genius promoter. Look at Dana White's resume. It's marketing and everything.
Yeah.
And he's been marketing in the fight world too. It started off in boxing. He started off promoting boxing, so he knows what he's doing. Obviously, the guy's makes $20 million a year. So it's like, what? I had no idea. I thought they were a part of it. No, it's not.
It's all boxing taking over.
Showtime.
And that's why
It's all
He
Mayweather.
called Showtime a weasel.
Yeah, that's why during the conferences, McGregor's talking junk to Showtime, the president of Showtime, because there was a lot of conflict behind closed doors.
That was funny.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, let's not get it twisted. It's about boxing. It's just
Exactly.
trying to
Yeah.
promote boxing. So
Trying to
I
bring
mean,
it back to
they're
life.
being
Everything's
they're
in
being
there.
selfish.
It's
yeah.
totally.
They're being selfish, and Conor McGregor wins big time by quadrupling his net worth.
His network.
and that's honestly, that's all it is. The fight isn't even the thing. It's the whole promotion. Both of them making mega bucks,
But
and
if
that's all it
someone-
really is. And that's what's gonna make him both fighters happy. That's it.
You know,
End of the day,
MMA loses. He's not going to be as hungry. You make north of $100 million. You think you're going to go back to beating your brains in for what?
Or maybe not. Maybe he's just because he's still in question. He said he'll definitely fight one MMA fight this year, and it's going to be in like December because he said I already said it. He's like, I have to stay up to my word. So he's gonna fight a real MMA
Yeah,
fight
and I think if you
for the title, for a
Yeah,
belt
if you have a belt,
by
I
the
think-
end of this year. But hold on, he also never gave any promises that he's fighting after that. So in my mind, once you take him off the slate, he's gonna become behind the scenes kind of guy.
Yeah.
like the promoter and have his own company. He already has it. It's like
Yeah,
McGregor Promotions or something.
he just
Sure.
did it for this. Yeah.
Yeah,
Original.
he just started his own little company just for this, just so get a taste of what it's like, and then
Sure. You don't
But
think
I
he's
think-
talking to Floyd Mayweather? Like,
Oh,
trying to figure,
absolutely.
he's watching
How-
his
yeah,
every
get
move.
Dude,
tips.
at the end of the day, they're both
Yeah.
gonna hug and kiss, and that's it. They're
Absolutely.
like, yo, you made your money,
they
I
look
made
like
my
they
money.
could be best friends.
Yeah.
They literally look
They
like they would hang
would
out with
actually
each other.
get along very well. I can see
Terrible
that.
town too.
Yeah.
I can see them
That's
getting
it.
along.
How fun would that night out
Terrible
be?
City, yeah.
Walking around with two midgets that could beat everybody else.
Yeah.
That'd be fantastic.
And talking nuts. They're like,
Buy
this
a-
is so dangerous on like so many levels.
And buy a whole
and have all the
club
money
out.
in the world.
Yeah, buy
Yeah.
a whole club out and then do
How
whatever they want to do.
hilarious that they should have a promotion company. If they would destroy every other promotion company, how can you talk smack to the world's biggest smack talkers and they're now partners?
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's
Well, what
pretty
I was
insane.
saying, going back to what Manny's saying, it's a loose for UFC. Yes, I think maybe in whatever, but I don't even think it has to do with this boxing fight. I think it's because look what someone can do. Basically, put the UFC 2 weight classes on hold just so he can do the circus act.
Yep.
I think that's where the loss came from. But I also, he's gonna give back in a big way to UFC again, where it's going to blow it up. And I think though the overall point is that it's going to give the young kid who's the Conor McGregor who's going to be Conor McGregor in 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's giving him all it's getting him all amped up,
Getting
and
the hype.
another McGregor is going to come out of that.
And I know,
kind of give
like-
birth to that.
Like old
next
school
generation.
boxers, they're diehard boxer fans. They're not into like the MMA. This is probably gonna convert them a little bit. It'll be like, oh, this is what this guy could do. Let me watch his next fight. Let me watch.
If not
it'll
convert, at
people.
least definitely draw a lot of interest.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's
You know
it's
what? It'll
fighting.
be a level of respect. As
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, exactly. I just think it's you're fighting someone. You're fighting someone else.
Yeah.
I think at some level, whether you're a boxer or an MMA fighter, your eyes are peeled back and want to see what's this guy gonna do, or the classic like Rocky thing. Is someone gonna be beat to pulp
Sure, yeah.
and then come out of nowhere and just throw like a haymaker and the other dude goes flying out of the ring?
Well, Rocky.
It's already been a circus act.
But it's, so now think
One
about
of them's coming
the
in with
movie
an
Rocky.
elephant.
Which one?
He did.
Which one was it where
He
he
fought
fought
Hulk Hogan.
Oh, yeah.
Boxer versus wrestling. He
Yeah.
fought
Yeah.
that. He fought Mike Tyson or Mr. T.
Yeah.
So that's already been played out in movies. Now it's actually happening in life. I mean, this was back in the 80s. Rocky 2, I think it was.
2 was what was the rematch. 3 was
Hulk Hogan.
Was the exhibition with Hulk Hogan
Yeah.
or whatever.
So
Thunder
many
Lips.
anymore.
Yeah, Thunder
There's
Thighs.
just so
Thunder,
many. Thunder
Yeah.
Thighs was his name.
Thunder Lips. But
With this level of like trash talking as we go, and it's escalating the interest, obviously, because McGregor, I think it's like in part of his contract, if they sell that many pay-per-view things, he says, I'm making $100 million. His contract's it's like for $20 million.
No, I
But
read
if
it
he-
was 100 million.
Oh, but I'm sure there's
No,
stipulations.
there's all these kinds of stipulations. He could make $100 million.
What
Yes,
he makes, is different
but
than what
there's
his
like
contract actually
it's like
is.
there's push. Who do you think is more confident in this fight?
McGregor.
I think McGregor.
McGregor,
I
because he
always
has.
think it's a young bull. young
You know
kid
what,
always on-
McGregor, because he's stepping up to someone else's town.
Yeah,
someone
he
else's
has nothing.
territory.
He has nothing to lose.
He's
Yeah.
changing.
He's
everything.
He's changed his whole life.
Yep.
If
He's
he
gonna
loses, nobody looks at him any different. He has nothing to lose.
But he has to have that. If you're changing, converting, and you're trying to prove a point, you have to be that. Like, prove the world that I'm capable of doing this.
yeah, you're coming to somebody else's house. to-
Yeah. So you gotta be on fire.
Yo, hold on. Did you know Mayweather will not be the first boxing champion to take on challenges from opponents steeped into another combat sports? Muhammad Ali fought a 15-round draw against Japanese professional wrestler Antonio Inoki in Tokyo 1976, in which each man was allowed to use his own respective talent.
I think I did hear that, but I didn't think
But was
that was
that in
that
boxing,
didn't
though?
that didn't count as anything. That was
That
like a
was fighting.
circus act.
That was
yeah,
purely.
just probably just a fight.
This
exhibition,
counts.
charity. Yeah.
Like if Floyd Mayweather loses, his record,
His record
forever
hits,
be,
takes a loss,
Yeah.
or if he wins,
Yeah.
it goes
This
up.
is an official
This is
sanction.
an
Yeah.
official fight.
I want to see the what's the special they did before it? Like they do it every week. Like they talk about it. They follow the boxers around,
Yeah.
do the hype thing. I just want to watch that. Like,
Oh,
24/7?
pure
Yeah,
entertainment.
it's 24/7.
Pure entertainment. I'm buying it early too. Now you see
Now.
that. Yeah,
Buy
well,
Before the
now.
price goes up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. where they would, like do the interviews and all this, people talking crap. Yeah, that's
Because
actually
Mayweather's
good.
funny too.
Yeah,
like,
he
he's
is.
just
He
funny.
is
Sitting in the
hilarious.
locker
and the
room.
dad, the senior, is
Yeah.
hilarious too.
Yeah.
So both fighters have their own sense of fashion. What are your thoughts on both for what we have seen?
Listen,
I think they're both
what
flashy.
what the hell was McGregor wearing? What was he wearing? Like a tiger?
Polar
And then-
bear.
A polar bear.
Polar bear for a
Yeah, but what in the world? But McGregor called out Mayweather. You dress like a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Dressed
You're
with the
40
chain?
years old. Yeah.
Yeah, you dress like
But
a
then,
kid.
but then Mayweather came at him and walked up to Dana White. And was like, me and you have a lot of money, and people with a lot of money don't have to dress to impress. And Dana White's
Ooh.
always in a t-shirt, always,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is
Very
true.
contradictory. Very contradictory.
No, because he's
his
so
entire
flashy.
Instagram account
He's
is all about being flashy. He's
flashy.
wearing suits and
His
stuff like that. That's very
chains,
contradictory.
everything.
He
Hold
said
on,
that
he
because
brought-
he
he-
got called out.
Yeah.
How about the book
was a
bag?
great rebuttal.
Remember the book bag?
Oh, the book
The
bag.
book
He
bag
said-
was great. Carrying the book bag around.
He always does, yeah.
So why are you counting the book bag? You can't even read.
He called out 50 Cent. He went nuts, dude. I was like,
Yeah.
what's
He gave him
McGregor
the
doing right
Jay-Z
now?
album.
Yeah.
Yo, but now he goes.
Far. How
He
much
go-
he get paid to promote that?
I don't know.
That
I'm
was-
gonna tell you,
that
who's
was
another
crazy.
genius? Jay-Z. I was like, who does that? Great in Brooklyn. That was pretty,
Yeah.
pretty
Was that
sick.
Jay-Z?
Huh?
Was that Jay-Z?
He literally handed him his album. And he
No,
called,
I know, but was that Jay-Z's idea?
Who else? I mean,
I think it was just Connor's idea.
maybe because it was in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And it was
And he
that-
came out to
that same
Biggie,
week.
like the Notorious.
He can't- yeah, he
Like,
comes
did
out to all the Biggie stuff,
everything.
yeah.
He called
played his
out.
cards.
Well, he's notorious too. Don't they call him?
Yeah, Notorious.
Yeah.
The Notorious.
Yeah, the
Notorious.
notorious. Ah man, but their sense of fashion is not whatever. I
It's
think
to each its own, but I think
yeah,
it's
Mayweather wears a lot of fancy clothes.
That's their world.
a lot
yeah.
of brand names, but the pants and the polar bear
pants,
fur.
yeah, the pants
all
were
over the top, man.
crazy.
And his suit that the pinstripes had FU on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
was
that was
fantastic.
classic.
It's-
Good.
That was fun.
Yeah.
And to be honest
Yeah.
with you, I kind of wanted to see Mayweather in like a suit. Like just
Yeah.
kind of, what's your
Yeah.
3-piece suit look like?
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like you're going head to head. Have fun with it. I get that you're promoting your what's it called, but all your guys behind you are wearing those TMT hats and hoodies
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah.
He actually did look kind of silly when you like you're actually like
When he was
sitting there.
sitting on the stool and the book bag's right in front of him, and he's like, "You look like a 12-year-old breakdancer."
Yeah, you look like
Yeah.
a 12-year-old breakdancer.
Dude, he looked silly.
When he
did, it did.
I thought when
really-
he walked by with a cup of coffee, he's like, 2 spoons of sugar.
Yeah, 2 spoons of sugar. Oh, it's great.
Do you think they have? And somebody brought it up. I was listening to the radio. Do you think they have like people come in and like talk them up? Like, hey, this is what you say. Like,
Yeah,
actually,
absolutely, yeah.
it's a tactical move.
You
Like,
think that
if he
they-
says
Yeah.
that, you say
they
this.
give him like a guide,
Yeah, a
kind
hype
of.
man.
Like no, almost like no,
Not
like
a guy, but
comedian,
like-
like behind. I wouldn't even say a comedian, but somebody who's I don't even know what to call
Give
it.
him ideas for the smack
like here,
talking and
if
stuff.
this, bring up his, all the what's
Oh,
that,
sure.
the lien problem, the tax lien problem. All of a sudden, that just came out of nowhere.
Well,
Like,
no, he made fun of him with the book bag. That's all you carrying? $5,000? Because he only had one stack.
He
It
always
wasn't
says- he
like it was
says-
like a book bag supposed to be like
His thing is, he
full of
always
money.
walks around with at least $1 million. That's what he tells everyone. That's
Right, there was like $5,000. Well, that's what McGregor says. It was $5,000 in it, but it was only one stack. It wasn't a big stack of money like you would expect it to be. So he called him out on that.
it was great.
It's
He's like,
all a show.
You ain't getting your bag back. Your book bag.
That was because he had the
the
flag.
flag.
Oh yeah, he
Irish
took the
flag.
flag. Yeah, the Irish flag.
No, he didn't take it. He brought it with him.
No, he
Someone
coaxed,
gave
he
it-
coaxed somebody.
someone
he
gave it
coaxed
to
somebody
him.
from the audience to
Oh,
give me that,
okay.
and then he
Is
wrapped.
that
Yeah, and
how
then
he
he
got
wrapped it
it?
around
Yeah.
himself. Yeah.
Oh, so that's why he threw it back in. I was wondering, why did he throw it? I didn't
Yeah.
get that. Okay, that makes sense. So tickets range from $500 to $10,000 at the NGM.
That's it.
Pay-per-view is selling for $89.95 and $99.95 for HD.
Hold
is
on.
that
How-
a
how
fair
is that even an
price?
option anymore?
And will
Yeah.
you purchase the fight?
Where's the standard def even a thing? Still?
Who
that's,
uses
that's
standard
hilarious.
def?
That's crazy.
My house.
I think
You know
it's
what?
a scam.
My kids use his stand. They don't know the difference. They watch it the block. It's a block what they're watching. And I'm like, use the full screen.
Yeah, my mom does the same thing. I walk in, I'm like, why is that so fuzzy?
Just hit the button. It takes the
It's not
HD. Oh, look, it's clear.
$500 though. $500 and you could barely see them
Nosebleeds.
move. I guess
Nosebleeds.
you're there for the experience, you're not there to see the fight. You're here. You're there to feel the electricity,
Yeah.
the
That's
buzz.
Yeah.
Dude, that's a whole weekend thing. If you're going there to spend $500, you're not just there for that fight. You're
Oh,
there-
absolutely.
No.
Yeah, you're right.
way.
Or you just buy the ticket and just say you had the ticket. Because in all honesty, everyone who goes to like those things, they say, dude, you're better off watching it at home. You get to see
Yeah.
the
Oh,
replays. You
absolutely.
get to see.
Yeah.
You don't hear people
Yeah.
spilling stuff all
Especially a
over
big
you,
main event like that.
yelling.
Yeah.
And he's like, there's nothing worse than you sitting right next to someone who's yelling for the guy you're not yelling for.
Yeah.
Just yelling in your ear of
Dude, and then
he's like,
think
dude,
about-
you just ruined your time. Then you got to get up to use a bathroom. And then you got to go through all
Think
those
about how many of his countrymen who are known to be drinkers, not being stereotypical, but the Irish, if you ever see him come out on a fight, they all got booze and they all look like they're hammered.
Yeah.
And it's going to be, and they're going to come when you say vacation.
Yeah,
they're going to come to vacation in Vegas.
Well, remember
Yeah,
when Haddon
when
fought?
they were in
Oh, Ricky Hatton. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, when they were
took
in
up like half
in-
the stadium.
Yep.
when they were in London, they said it was like 20,000 people in London for that the whatever
Press conference.
press conference. 5,000 people were from Ireland, from where he was from.
Jeez.
Crazy. But that isn't that closer?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's
Yeah,
Yeah.
less of it. There's not the pond that we
Yeah.
have to cross.
Yeah.
But, oh, they're going to come out in droves, dude. It's going to be
That's be
fantastic for him.
crazy.
And you know what? You know how much Vegas is loving this.
absolutely.
Yeah, That's what
Absolutely.
they're there for, right? I
Holy
tell you what,
smokes.
just sound advice, people coming from Ireland, if you're listening, sunblock, because Las
Sun-
Vegas is like 115 degrees.
Sunblock.
Yeah.
Desert.
Bring your hat.
But wear a sweatshirt. Burnt.
All right. So moving right along, we are having an interesting conversation with the Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather Jr. fight coming August 26th. Boxing fight. Is there any closing predictions or statements anyone wants to put here on record for our audience?
I got Mayweather in 9.
I'm gonna give to McGregor, and I'm gonna say about 5 rounds.
Oh, that's mine. McGregor in 5.
Yeah.
I'm saying if McGregor doesn't do it in 4, it'll go all 12 rounds decision, and it'll be Mayweather.
Definitely. I agree with that.
That's a good one.
And when I say that, it has to be a knockout. Obviously, there's no other way that guy's winning.
Yeah.
No, it's a pound him out.
All right, so there you.
Hold on, time out. Who does you nobody have Mayweather having a chance of knocking him out?
Knocking him out now.
I
don't think so. I think
And winning, absolutely
Connor has a harder chin. There's no way.
Dude,
Unless he hits him right in that spot.
He kicks in the face.
Yeah,
like
his chin is
jaw.
different.
It's a different.
There's no
it's a
way.
different level of
He never
pain.
gets hit like that though.
Yeah.
Go watch McGregor's fights. He doesn't get waffled like that. He does the waffle.
But he also gets hit with a bare hand, not cushion.
Yeah, not
It's
that
not a
well.
bare hand.
Well, it's a lot less than what he's going to get hit with.
You're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's going to be a lot less than what he's getting hit with
Alright,
this time around.
I got you. I'm good with it.
But anybody could knock. I said this earlier. Anybody could knock anyone out.
Anybody out,
You get
yeah,
hit in the right
absolutely.
spot, you're done, dude.
Yeah.
I just don't think it'll happen. Is it possible? Absolutely. More than likely, it's going to be a Mayweather thing. But like I said, this dude's nuts. I do actually believe in those 2 inches of reach. They could connect and rock that chin to something.
Absolutely.
I don't think he's going to feel a hard
But like
punch.
now that you're saying it, like McGregor he has a wider back, so it's a bigger target for
Absolutely.
Mayweather to tap and get points on. So now that actually does make sense. Like with
Yeah.
the point, dude, he is a bigger target, like a wider
It's a
target.
wider target. And Mayweather's fast. He's
Yeah.
fastest in the
Super
world,
quick.
basically. All right, so there you have it, folks. We're going to wrap this episode up with quotes by our two guys, McGregor and Mayweather. The first one is by Conor McGregor. I don't look at a man who's in a sport in one area as a specialist. I look at him as a rookie in 10 other areas. Mayweather, a true champion will fight through anything. McGregor, I'm not going to get somewhere and say, okay, I'm done. Success is never final. I'll just keep on going. The same way as failure never being fatal. Just keep going. I'm going to the stars and then past them. Mayweather, I come from a very rough background and saying that if you work hard and dedicate yourself that you can make it too. So there you have it, folks. Mayweather versus McGregor. In this episode, the crew dives into an exhilarating discussion about the mega boxing match between UFC champion fighter Conor McGregor and boxing champion Floyd Mayweather Jr. We serve up our opinions on the fight itself and debate our predictions on how the fight may possibly pan out. We wrap the episode up with quotes from the fighters themselves, Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Conor McGregor. Awesome. Guys, thanks again for joining us. The Rotated Views podcast was produced for self-development purposes. Huge shout out to our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by the Blessed Lifestyle brand. That is BL3SSED.com. Also sponsored by The Motivation Files Unleashed. This motivational mixtape will be your fuel for success. Available on all platforms. Guys, don't forget to visit the website, JimmyLeeVelez.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Rotated Views. If you have any inquiries or questions, email us at info@JimmyLeeVelez.com. On behalf of myself and the rest of the crew, we wish you massive success. Stay blessed.